Good morning, students. So, we'll be continuing with our second chapter, that is chapter 2, processes and threads. So, before starting with the chapter, just an introduction. What is process? So, process, a program or an application which is actually in execution process, execution task which is undergoing an execution, that can be termed as a process. When you talk about a process, process includes execution context. The things which we require the task to complete is called as the execution content or context. Then a program resides on the disk. A program is always residing on the disk, and on this disk it does not require any resource. Once the process is started, the program first resides on the register, that is the disk, and it does not require any register to complete its task. Slowly, a program gets executed in the main memory. Once the register provides it with a proper allocation, it goes into the main memory, and then the actual disk to main memory processing starts. Now, when you start the processing, to complete the execution, program needs many resources and competes for it. So, there are many resources which will be required. We cannot specify that resources that will be same. There can be different resources which can be used to complete that task, and there will be a competition between different processes to complete that task to achieve those resources. A CPU state is defined by the content of various registers. So there will be various registers which will be working on it, that is instruction register, program counter, stack pointer, and general purpose registers. This will be the states in which your CPU will be defined, as well as there will be different number of small amount of data stored in CPU registers. A small amount of data will be stored in CPU registers as temporary memory, and memory contains program code and it's predefined by data structures. It will contain program code into it, the main memory, and as well as some algorithms related to your main memory. Now we'll be starting with the actual process model. So what is process model? There will be one program counter, then after this there will be switching between this program, that is called as multi-programming between four programs. So multi-programming means at a time four programs are running on the system. The next is four program counters. How will they do? Conceptual models of four independent sequential processes. So each and every sequential process will be independent for working in the task. Next is only one program is active at once. So at once only one program is active, so your process will be defined with the help of time, and that time constraint will make it possible that at a time only one process can be running on the system. The next is process creation. So now when we talk about process creations, processes are created because of the following four principal events. So four principal events are there because of which process creation starts. The first one is system initialization, that is when your OS is booted, when your OS operating system starts on the system, typically several processes are created. As the user starts booting the operating system, different types of processes are started. Then execution of a process creation system calling by a running process. Now when an user needs a new process to create, he requires some resources, and that time it will be a process creation in which running processes will be calling that system for resource. The third one is a user request to create a new process. So the currently existing processes will be asking for resource, but the new resource or the new process which the user wants to start, he will be asking for a new process creation request. The last one is initiation of a batch job. Arranging this all the programs or process into a particular sequence is done by initiation of a batch, that is batch means a sequential arrangement of jobs, that is the task. The next is process termination. Once your task is completed, termination is to remove it. Process creation means when we create the process, that is called as process creation. Process termination is to remove the process. Once your task is completed, how do you remove that process? Typical conditions which terminate a process. There are 4 conditions which terminate a process. The first one is normal exit, that is voluntary. Once your task is completed, it will normally exit all the resources, leave all the resources and terminate the task. Voluntary means compulsory. Now error exit is if any error occurs while the processing, that time also it can exit. That is also mandatory, means that does not require any condition, it will normally exit the criteria. Fatal error is involuntary. Why do fatal error is involuntary? Because it's not necessary every time fatal error will be given by the program, it can be given by the system as well. Fatal means not predicted, it can be a system error, it can be a machine independent error, anything. If a system is not working properly, if any output is not given by the system, all such things can be considered as fatal error. Booting cannot be done properly, that is a system error. It can be involuntary, means unexpected, and not compulsorily that it will occur only. Killed by another process, any process in the batch if replaces its place, that is its sequence, that time it can be killed by another process, that time also it can terminate. So that is also involuntary. Now there are process states. There are 4 process states. Priorly, there were 4 process states. Now we are going to learn here 3 process states. First one is running. The actually using the CPU at that instance. Ready is runnable, temporarily stopped to let another process run. Blocked is unable to run until some external event happens. And waiting is, see here, waiting is one task wherein it has resources which is being used by another, so it is waiting. Blocked is once another resources leaves its resource and asks that yes, something problem has occurred, please block it, that time block will happen. So this is what is the diagram of your process state. Running will tell you that the process blocks for input processing, then it will ask you to block if in case another person is using that resources. If not, it will be ready, then once it's ready with the initialization, it will build or execute. Once execution is done, it will tell the resource that yes, you can block it if the other resource wants its sources. So your new state is the new process being created. Then the ready state is a process is ready to run, but it is waiting for CPU being assigned to it. Executing state is a process is said to be running state if currently CPU is allocated to it and it is executing. Waiting is a process can't continue execution because it is waiting for an event to happen, such as IO completion, that is input output completion. Process is able to run when some external event happens. So waiting can be termed as blocked also, because it is waiting for some another event to ask that yes, we require some resource, please block the resources or please wait. Termination state is the process has completed its execution, that is termination state. Now process state, it's a scheduler which is going to schedule the processes for your task. The scheduler dispatches the ready process for execution, that is CPU is now allocated to the process, as well as when CPU is executing the process, it is in the execution state. Executing state, after context switch process goes on for executing to ready state. If executing process initiates an IO operation before it is allotted time expires, the executing process voluntarily give up the CPU. So scheduler basically with all this, in short what it means is it schedules the time duration also for the process in which it has to complete the task. If not, it will terminate or remove the voluntary process resources from it. Now implementation of processes on different things, that is process management. Next is memory management, and third is file management. So what does the processes mean? When it is on process management, registers, program counters, program status word, stack pointer, process state, priority, scheduling parameters, process ID, parent process group, signals, time when process started, CPU time used, children's CPU time to next alarm. All those things will be taken into the process table. When it is related to memory management, it will be pointer to text, pointer to data, pointer to stack. When it is file management process, it will be root directory, working directory, file descriptors, user ID, group ID. All those things are made as a typical process table entry. Now implementation of process. When I say I want to implement a process, how it will be: hardware stack pointer, program counters, hardware loads new program counter from interrupt vector, assembly language procedure saves register, assembly language procedure sets up new stack, C interrupt service runs, scheduler decides which process is to run next, C procedure returns to the assembly code, assembly language procedure starts up new current process. So this is basically a process of implementation of a process onto the disk or onto the main memory. So usually when we say about modeling a multi-programming, see, multi-programming means at a time n number of programs working together is called as multi-programming. So how is it moduled? It is moduled on the basis of CPU utilization and degree of multi-programming. So you can see here in the x-axis you have, in the y-axis you have the CPU utilization in percentage, and in the x-axis you have degree of multi-programming. So depending on how many programs are running, on that basis of percentage we are applying the input output weight procedure, and the CPU utilization is calculated 1 minus p raised to n, that is percentage, depending upon how many programs it is running. So CPU utilization as a function of the number of processes in a memory. At a time in a memory, how many processes are running, depending on how much time does it require to complete that process. So the next is threads. A thread is the smallest unit of processing that can be performed in an OS. A very smallest and a minute what you can say unit of processing in a task is called as a thread. In modern operating system, a thread exists within a process, that is single process may contain multiple threads. So in a single process, whole single process, there will be n number of programs, so that each and every program can be termed as a thread. Now thread usage, see here in the kernel space you have threads, you have your disk space, that is temporary memory, and you have your input output. What is it doing? See, in the program you have n number of threads, that is n number of small minute processes. So if my disk requires this process, it can achieve this. If my keyboard requires this process, it can achieve this. So n number of threads are there in one single process. Now thread usage, how is thread usage done? Your thread is basically in the user space, it is not in the kernel space. So dispatcher thread, what it does, it with the help of network connection, web page cache, that is a temporary memory, will hold these threads. Worker thread will be working on it, that what process will require which thread. On that, dispatcher thread will be working to dispatch each and every thread with the help of network connection to the user, whereas the whole process will be working under web server processes. Web services will be required, as network connection is there, web will require different network connections to access it. So this is where the coding is done. A rough outline of the code, that is dispatcher thread and worker thread. So while true, get next request buffer, handoff work buffer, that is this is for dispatching, this is for working of thread, that is thread working from the web page cache to remove it and provide it to the dispatcher thread with the help of network connection. Then thread usage, threads, that is parallelism, blocking system calls. It will block the system calls and only work on parallelism, that which process requires which resource, according to which they have to work. Single threaded process, no parallelism. At a time no different processes will be working, only single process at a time. Blocking system calls, it also blocks the system calls, as it is in the user space, it is not in the kernel space. Finite state machine is again parallelism is allowed, that finite state only the machine thread will be working. Non-blocking system calls, as it is not allowed at that particular machine state it is working, we cannot block the systems. Interrupts will be there will be some problems when a finite state only that particular process can work. Now this is the scenario of how a classical thread model is, when there are n number of processes working and when there is a single process working. So how is it? Process 1, process 2, process 3. So it's not there that one thread cannot work for different process. It can be there. See here, same arrow is working for this one as well as this one in the user space. Kernel space is not concerned with the thread, and this third thread is working for process 3. So n number of processes can initiate between these threads, and one single process also can work with n number of threads at a time. So this is 3 processes, each one with one thread, and one process with 3 threads. Vice versa condition both can be followed. So in classic thread model, the first column list sometimes shared by all threads in a process. The second list is some items private to each thread. So here per process items means this can be shared by any threads at a time while running a process, whereas this all things are there when only each and every process thread has to follow, that is compulsorily follow, that is address space, global variables, open files, child processes, pending alarm, signal and signal handlers, accounting information. This can be shared by any of the thread in between. But second is compulsory items have private for each thread itself, that is program counter on which program it is working, registers on which memory it is, that is temporary memory or main memory, stack allocation of that memory, as well as state, that is it is ready, waiting, running, terminated, etc. So classical thread, when we say about, that is the old threading model, thread 1 stack, thread 3 stack. The stack will be arrangement of threads. Again saying stack is arrangement of threads, and different threads allocating in a single whole one process can also be done. Then POSIX threads. So what are the functions which are used for working on threads? That is pthread create, pthread exit, pthread join, pthread yield, pthread attribute init, and pthread attribute destroyed. So this is creation of new thread, termination is done by exit, joining is waiting for specific thread to exit, then yield is release the CPU to let another thread run. Then attribute init is create and initialize a thread attribute structure. Attribute means does it require a variable, does it require a numerical value. All these are defined under attribute initialization. And attribute destroy, remove a thread's attribute structure. Once the task is completed, remove the attribute structure. So from here we'll stop and we'll continue in the next lecture. Thank you.